Witchin' Witchers. Okay, so in October of 2019, I was really struggling with organization. I was in grad school and I was working and I was teaching, and as you know, I have a lot of jobs, and I was just having a really hard time balancing it all. And my friend and business partner, Amber, over at Fiberhaven Mavens, she asked me if I'd heard of the bullet journal system, and I had kind of heard about it in passing. I'd seen like all the stuff, the bullet journal stuff at the craft store, all the stickers and all the everything. And it just seemed really intense and it seemed really overwhelming, and I just was like, no, I don't think so. And she kind of encouraged me a lot to look for Ryder Carroll's book, the bullet journal book. And it wasn't until I read it that I really understood what the bullet journal system is. And it has completely, as you know from being on my channel and following me on wherever I am on social media, you probably know that the bullet journal system has kind of taken over my life. My bullet journal is open in front of me on my desk every day, all day long. I use my bullet journal for a lot of different things. It's my date book. It's got my calendar in it. It's got my schedule in it. It's got any appointments I need in it. It's also an actual journal where sometimes I'll just write my thoughts. Sometimes it's an art journal. A lot of times it's an art journal. It's my goal planner whenever there's something new I want to do, like, for instance, bullet journal printable pages. The thing about the bullet journal system is that what the bullet journal system is for me isn't what it's necessarily going to be for you or for anybody else. It's different for everybody. For some people, it is just the standard, what Ryder Carroll created. It's the lists, it's the to-do list, it's very simple, it's very minimalist. For other people, it's more of an art journal than it is a bullet journal, and it's more about the doodling and the creative spreads and all of that. For me, it's somewhere in the middle. There are definitely times that I do like my Doctor Who spreads and my Daria spreads, and I get really creative with them. And then there are other times that I just brain dump one huge to-do list. That happens a lot. I'd probably say at least once every 2 weeks I brain dump one huge to-do list into my bullet journal. So what I've created here is kind of a basic beginner set of bullet journal printables that will start you off on your bullet journal journey. So Ryder Carroll created the bullet journal system as a way to organize his thoughts while he was in college. On his YouTube page it says, "We see this as an evolving, adaptable platform meant to be shared and self-curated as you determine what works best for you." And I definitely want to stress that that's what you should do with these pages. Figure out which pages work for you. Ditch the ones that don't. Personally, I color in my bullet journal and I do all my doodling in the margins and I create my really pretty spreads because I find that creative outlet inspiring. It makes me more ambitious. It makes me more likely to accomplish more later on if I spend a little bit of time using that creative outlet. So this brings me to the reason that I'm here today making this video. This is the launch of my bullet journal printables. My goal eventually is to start selling different colorful, pretty, fun designs on my Etsy shop. But today I just want to talk about this beginner set, which is free, a free download for you to use as you please, print it off as many times as you want, pick and choose which pages you want to print off, whatever it is. So first, the key. This is the core of the bullet journaling system. If you go to Pinterest and you search bullet journal key, you'll find a huge variety of bullets. So first is the bullet. This is what we do for each new item in the bullet journal. Anytime you add anything into your bullet journal, it starts with a bullet point. Then from there, you take it to wherever it needs to go. So you exit out if the task is completed. You can cross it out completely if the task is canceled. And then there's arrows. A forward arrow means I'm going to do that tomorrow. A back arrow means I'm going to schedule a different time to do that. So when we get to the future log, we'll talk about how that works. The circle around the bullet is for something that is scheduled. So if there's a certain time that day that I need to accomplish that, if I have a meeting, an appointment, I circle it. That makes it kind of jump out on the page to me a little bit more, so I'm less likely to forget it. And then the dash is for notes or thoughts. That one's really helpful if you're somebody who uses your bullet journal more as a journal. It's also really helpful if there's things you want to make sure you don't forget, but they're not necessarily a task, just like on this day, this happened and I want to remember it. The brain dump page. To me, this is where the bullet journal all begins. So the brain dump page is exactly that. It's a page where you dump all the thoughts in your brain. So I will put absolutely everything in my head, even if it's not my own tasks. Every task I know needs to be done, even if it's something that needs to be done by somebody else in my household, I will put on that page to start with. And then I'll use my bullet key to figure out where I'm going to put them. That brings us to the future log. The future log is what I use to mark the next 6 months of my life. So if you're starting this on January 1st, your future log starts on February 1st. At the top here, I'll put each of the next 6 months. And then as I go through the month of January, if something comes up that is going to happen in February, I write it into that square. In this way, like a lot of people like to start a new organization system or whatever at the beginning of the year. I actually started, like I said, bullet journaling in October. I don't like to wait to start a new plan like this if I feel like it's going to work for me. So with the blank future log, you can just start it whenever you need to start it, whatever month of the year you're on. Next is a monthly calendar. I mean, this is basically like any calendar. If you look at the Ryder Carroll method, I believe he writes the numbers just down the side of the page. I like to have it by week because a few different reasons. It helps me remember to take weekends off if I have it by week as I'm scheduling things. It helps me just in my mind visualizing how my month is going to look if I have it written out by week. And now our weeklies. So the brain dump is where the bullet journal begins. The weekly for me is where the bullet journal is at. This is where everything happens. Every single day, that's what's open on my desk is my weekly. Weeklies are super personal, and determining which of these weeklies is going to work best for you is really individual. I tend to use a 2-page weekly a lot of the time, but I have used all of these different designs for a weekly, depending on what's going on. So let's say you get to the end of the day on Monday and you determine, all right, I did that. I paid the mortgage. I didn't get to vacuuming. I don't see that happening today, but it definitely can happen tomorrow. So you do your little forward arrow, right? And then I also want to remember that Tuesday is trash day. And I actually am going to cancel my office hours this week, right? And I've decided I have no time this week to call Tim. It's going to have to wait till next week. So then I do a little back arrow to schedule, which means now I'm going to go back to my monthly spread. And I'm going to schedule Tim next Monday. Then when I do next week's spread, I can put it forward. Or maybe I've decided I'm not going to, this is like a really silly example for it to be called Tim, but let's say I've put it on there, but then I've decided, you know what, it's not even going to happen this month, it's going to happen in the next month. I do that back schedule arrow again, go to my future log, put it in April. So this does a few different things. First thing it does is it makes you really think about what you're doing. Really think about, why is that thing not happening today? Do I really need to do it, or is it something I feel like I'm supposed to do? And if I don't really need to do it, why is it on my list? If I do really need to do it, I need to prioritize it, because now I've moved it 3 times. And if I'm moving it 3 times, what is making me not follow through on this task? And how can I prioritize it to make sure it gets done? So that act of rewriting it, this is why the bullet journal system being an analog system on paper with paper and pen instead of digital, this is why that's so important, because just copying and pasting that would have a whole different effect than the act of rewriting that task over and over. I also want to note what's happening around the edges of some of these spreads. So for instance, there's some spreads that have fewer things around the edges. A few of them have a habit tracker. A habit tracker can be a number of different things. For some people, it's a way of helping them create a good habit they want, break a habit they don't want. For others, it's just a way of tracking what they are and are not doing. That tends to be the way that I approach it. If I want to see, like, okay, how much am I actually knitting? How much am I actually reading? How often am I actually remembering to take my vitamin? I may write those into the habit trackers. I do these bi-weekly. If you look around Pinterest, YouTube, Instagram, at other people's spreads, you will see A whole lot of people do habit trackers by the month. But as I said, my bullet journal is open to my weekly all day, every day. And I am only going to flip back to the monthly and the future logs at the beginning of the week when I go to set up my next week spread. Because I'm only going to do that, I am never going to remember to fill in a habit tracker that is only on one page of my journal and it's not the page I'm open to. So I do my habit trackers by the week, as I have in these printables, because it's just easier for me to have it right in front of me. You have a couple little extra blank boxes that don't say anything in them. That can be any number of things you need to include. For me, a lot of times I'll have a small box like this one down toward the corner that is for ongoing projects that are going to take me longer than a week, but I don't want to forget to work on them each day. Sometimes one of these may be a shopping list, something I need to make sure I buy. Could be just a list of, it could be a gratitude list. It could be a list of things that you're grateful for. Memories list. Some people like to doodle in those little spaces. It could be a little tiny brain dump spot where you want to remember to, you want to throw down things you don't want to forget to add into next week or something. Could be any number of things. Use those boxes as you need for whatever way they benefit you best. I know I haven't possibly answered all of your questions about bullet journaling here. This is literally just like the tiny video to accompany the bullet journal, the free bullet journal printables that I'm offering. But if you do have questions, leave them in the comments, drop me an email, or through my contact form on stitchandwitch.com, or whatever you need so that I can help you out on your bullet journaling journey. Whew, that's hard to say. On your bullet journaling journey. Definitely check out Ryder Carroll's book. I really think you will really enjoy what he has to say about productivity, organizing ourselves, quieting our minds to be able to be more productive and effective in our goals. All right, so that's it. Let me know if I can help you out with anything. Happy journaling!